welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Minnesota Rack Stars podcast. And we're doing a little turkey talk today. I have two very knowledgeable individuals who've been turkey hunting for quite some time now. Brian is here with us. It's Mike's dad. He's been turkey hunting since 1984, and he's got some great knowledge that he's willing to share with all of us, not only you guys, but also myself. But yeah, it's a great podcast, and we kind of tie everything in together at the end. What hunting is definitely truly about in the grand scheme of things, and we learned some good, interesting things as far as tactics go, but also, like I said, why we're out here and actually doing this. So with that, I hope you guys enjoy the podcast, and let's get to it. Hey, before we get started here, if you haven't already heard, we have started up our own apparel store online. So if you're looking to get some sweet Minnesota Rack Star apparel, some swag, you can check it out. It's on our Facebook page. We have the link on there. Also on our website, you can go and check that out. We have anything from hats, mugs, sweatpants, sweatshirts, t-shirts, you name it. It's pretty sweet. So hope you guys check it out, and let's get going with the podcast. You guys ready for this? All right. Well, hey there, everybody. It is myself
and Mike
and Brian.
We're here tonight. Just kind of a spur of the moment get together this weekend. I told Mike this last week. I said, Mike, we got to do a turkey podcast here pretty quick. So we made it happen this weekend here, and we're fortunate enough to have Brian here on the podcast with us. And the reason why we have these guys here tonight is because we're doing some turkey talk. And when it comes to turkeys, these guys here, in my mind, the rookie, these guys are professionals. So that's why I have them in here. I'm going to be looking to gather some information from these guys, and hopefully these guys can bring you guys some information as well regarding turkeys here, because in the state of Minnesota, season's just about ready to open.
Around the corner. When does it open? You know,
the 18th or the Wednesday, I think. I believe it's the 18th.
Okay.
And why Wednesday? Why is Minnesota open on a Wednesday? Why right in the middle of the week? Do you know? Is there history behind that or anything?
I think since they started running a 7-day season, that's where they run it from Wednesday to Tuesday.
Okay.
It used to be 5-day seasons, and they switched to 7-day seasons. So I believe that could be one of the reasons. I'm not positive, though.
Sure, just kind of follows the calendar then, I would guess.
Sure.
Makes sense.
So how many sick days have you used on that Wednesday?
Oh, well.
A few?
Yeah, right. No, not too many.
You usually take off for your
at
least a good chunk of time, right?
Yep.
Is
2 days.
Is the opener of turkey like the opener of like deer hunting? Like you need to be out there that opening day, or is it a little different?
I'll tell you the truth. I think years ago, people always applied for first, second, third seasons or whatever, thinking that the birds were more dumb at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Years ago when I first started, I always picked the last seasons, like the 5th, 6th, or 7th, or 8th season. And the reason why is because most of the birds are nesting at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and the toms are out cruising, kind of like bucks.
Yep.
Cruising for does, but they're out looking, and the minute you can hit one of them turkeys with a call and they gobble, you can darn near put them right in your bread basket or whatever you want to say. So, but I don't believe that, first, second, third season are any better than the last seasons.
You're exactly right. That late season deer hunting could be phenomenal too. Those bucks are searching for those last, available does and whatnot. I mean, deer, have different behaviors, right? Each deer has a different type of behavior. One buck is aggressive. It's going to go to calling and rattling. The other one's going to shy away from it. Do you see similarities with turkeys as well?
Yeah.
You would say,
I would say so. I think, if you got, I'll be honest, I think the old birds, you really got to put some time and effort to them. But some of those younger toms, that just were jakes, and they're a little bit more quick to come in, and but they usually come in groups. But to get one of those old gobblers to come in, and that's like putting in the time and the effort, being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
You know, they tend to give them a call, and they might gobble once, and you might not hear them the next 20, 30 minutes, hour, and you think they're gone. And I think that they're just smart, just like deer are. You know, those old bucks are hard to come by when they're seasoned, right?
Getting to Mike's point, there is a lot of times you know, you get one to gobble, and it could take over an hour. You know, if he's not gobbling anymore, 99% of the people will get up and they'll move. Well, they move 50, 100 yards away or something, and that bird was actually coming towards you at a slow pace, but he ends up seeing you, and boom, you're gone. He's gone. You might as well hang it up because he's not coming back into you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I believe that's. I'm just.
I think I'm getting a lot of information on you guys already, and the podcast is starting flying already. Let's push rewind here, okay, and give some people, the listeners out there, Brian, some background on when you started turkey hunting, maybe why you started turkey hunting, kind of how you got things rolling in the sport.
Well, I got started turkey hunting back in 1984, which is a few years ago. A lot of you probably weren't even born yet, but anyways.
You're later, baby. You're later. We were born.
Well, yeah. So back then, they only had turkey season in southeastern Minnesota. And a good friend of mine, John Swenson, and his dad, Dwayne Swenson, had asked if I'd like to go try turkey hunting. And I said, absolutely, I would. I'd like to try any kind of hunting there is. And so anyways, the only places you could hunt down was, like I said, southeastern Minnesota. They didn't have turkeys up this way. So in 84, we went down there, and I'll never forget it. First day we were out there, back then you could only hunt till noon. And the reason for that is because DNR felt that the hens are nesting at that time. They don't want you to be walking around, kicking up the hens off their nest.
At noon. At noon, past noon.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
do you think that's true? Do you think that holds true?
I believe it. It probably does,
okay.
Definitely, because usually the hens are nesting between that 10 o'clock range up to 12 o'clock range.
Sure.
You know, they go out, they feed in the morning, and then when they're done feeding, they go back to nest.
Okay.
And I'll never forget down there, you could hunt till noon. Well, I'm new to the sport, so I had my only one box call, and I went out there, and I figured, well, I'm started at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I figured, well, I said, I'm going to set it out till noon.
Yep.
I sat in the same spot till noon, never moved, called, and I did have one gobble, which was pretty exciting. But I came back, and the guys that I were hunting with were sitting there, and they asked, you know, what are you doing? And I thought, well, you can hunt till noon. I thought, whoa, we were back at like 8:30 having breakfast already. And so I thought, okay. So that's when I first started.
Yeah.
I mean, I did not get a bird until actually my 6th season of turkey hunting. I went 5 seasons without getting a bird.
Mm-hmm.
The 6th season I did get my bird, and it was a pretty good bird. It was 24.5 pounds. It had a 10.5-inch beard and had 1.5-inch spurs on it.
Jeez.
It was a trophy. Any turkey to me is a trophy. But so anyways, that's how I first got started in it.
So you said you hunted for 6 years before you got a turkey. What kept you going?
To me, I feel like I tell people that I try to get into turkey hunting. I feel you're either going to fall in love with it or you're going to hate it.
Mm-hmm.
And I absolutely fell in love with it. And my 2 boys, I think they did the same.
You know,
I'd say
no
so.
doubt.
I don't know. I mean, you
Yeah,
can go
yeah.
one way or the other, but yeah, that's
So you said in '84 you heard your first gobble. What was that like?
oh
Like,
boy, that was that was pretty exciting. I mean, when you hear one gobble in the morning, well, in fact, that was probably, if I remember right, probably about 11:30.
oh wow,
You sat for
I
5
Holy
sat
hours.
for
buckets.
that
5
long
hours,
without
Yeah.
without even
Yeah.
hearing nothing
Yeah.
and not seeing anything, just sitting there.
But you were a pro caller already by then, huh? With
Oh.
that box call, right?
In 1984, yeah,
Just
I was
yelping
this
yeah. So yeah,
Do you think that's why people either fall in love with it or not? I feel like for me, that first gobble that you hear, that to me was, and it's always stuck with me on why I love turkey hunting so much, is just that call and response, right?
mm-hmm.
You don't always get that in other animals that you hunt,
Mhm.
or not as often. But I just feel like for you, probably even that first gobble is just, I don't know, that got me just stoked right away, and I was,
Yeah.
it's, to me, that's the turning point right there. Is like you hear that gobble right away in the morning, and it just gets you fired up.
Mhm.
And
I can turn you around on this one, but I can ask you right there, Joe.
Mhm.
How did you get into turkey hunting,
Yeah.
and how do you feel about it?
Well, I think, you know, in the grand scheme of things, I got into turkey hunting because you got into turkey hunting, because then you taught your son turkey hunting, and then he brought me along. So
Yep.
you're the
Yep.
reason why.
Oh, okay. Well,
Seriously, that's
Yeah.
that's the reason why I got out there, and you didn't really. You probably weren't even thinking about it that way, but kind of like you, some other person asked if I wanted to go, and it was I'll never forget it. It was I was staying at my in-laws' place because my wife and I moved back home, I guess you could say. I took a different job, and we moved in with her mom and dad for a certain amount of time, and I was talking to Mike, and Mike's always talking about turkey hunting, and I think I was helping coach softball at the time. We lost the game, and I told Mike, I said, I'm gonna go out turkey hunting with you. I'm gonna use my bow, and I said, I need to kill something because we lost the game or something like that, and I was frustrated. I said, we're gonna go out and and kill something, and I'll never forget it. About the decapitator,
Yeah,
Oh.
the guillotine.
the guillotine.
Yeah, oh yeah.
broadheads for my
Yeah,
bow.
yeah.
I didn't do any research on it or anything, and I just screwed those baby on there. And I told Mike, I said, I'm taking a turkey's head off tomorrow. I've never been turkey hunting in my life, right? But yeah, and kind of the same thing. Like I'll never forget. I've been on other turkey hunts that I've kind of forgotten about a little bit, but this one here, I'll never forget. Waking up early in the morning, I was extremely confident that I was going to kill one. Because I had Mike with, and he was telling me, oh, it's a guarantee, we're going to get one. And we get out to the spot. We thought birds were going to come in. It was on the edge of some pines with an alfalfa field. And Mike's sitting there calling, and there's nothing. I'm like, yeah, this isn't going to work. There's no turkeys out here or whatever. And then, like you said, I mean, it was like a lightning bolt struck right next to me when I heard that first gobble, and I'll never forget it. It was straight out in front of us in these pine trees, and I was like, holy Lord, and my heart just started pounding. And so we're just watching. I think Mike might have let out a little yelp or called back to it, and it fired right back, and Mike's like, this thing is coming in. Like, I'm like, holy Lord, like I'm shaking already, and I don't even see this bird, and all of a sudden he steps out, and he was sitting there just gobbling, and the sun is shining on him. The sun is to our back, shining right on him. And he just struts, like you said, slow as can be, back and forth. And he works his way all the way into the decoy. And I pull back, and he's probably 4 yards at the most.
No, he's not very far. Maybe 5-6 yards. That's about it. Yeah.
6.
And I pull back my bow, and I'm like, this is a done deal. And I'm got the pin right on his head, and I let it rip. And like I said, I didn't do any research on these broadheads. And it's my understanding now that you're supposed to have a 4-fletched arrow, not a 3-fletched arrow. And I shot, and it looked like a Nolan Ryan curveball coming out of my bow. 12-6 curveball, and it just went flying. And we watch it back in slow motion. That arrow just takes off,
Right
and it just
around it.
yeah.
Yep.
So I grab another arrow, and I'm in panic mode now because the bird is still strutting around the decoys. And I pull back, and he's a whopping 6-7 yards now on the backside of the decoys. And I pull back, and I let one rip, and I clipped a feather because the bird kind of did a little shake.
Yep.
And just continued to strut around the decoy. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Now I'm down to my last arrow. So I aim right in the middle, and I'm in panic mode, and I let it rip, and I hit it, and it kind of took off across the hayfield, kind of limped across, and ended up getting some tall grass and willows and stuff, and we unfortunately weren't able to find it. But, I mean, I just replayed that entire first hunt right there. That's how much turkey hunting means to me, and that first time going out was just absolutely amazing. And I think there's a lot of people that can relate to those stories as well when it comes to that first time going out turkey hunting. And I've been out with a few people, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. You got to come out turkey hunting. And like you said, some people are just like, this isn't my cup of tea. But that's fine. You guys don't have to go out turkey hunting. That leaves more birds for us.
Right.
But Mike, how about you, man? Let's hear how Pops got you out in the woods here turkey hunting.
I don't remember how old was I when I would have been when I went the first time.
Been 12.
12 years old,
Mhm.
yeah. Out of Jimmy's.
Yep.
And we were it was a kind of a pasture area with some trees, and we went out there, and it was my dad, and then it was my grandpa as well, and we were out there, and we're sitting under pine trees
Mhm.
at that time, right? Yeah. There's a couple stories out on that property, so I'm just
That was the second one you got out there. Your first one, we were sitting on the side.
okay
hill.
on the side hill. Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
and
All right.
Grandpa was
Yep.
behind us.
Yep. He was sitting behind
Yeah.
us, and
Oh, yeah.
I remember we heard him gobbling, and I was just shaking like crazy.
Windy, really windy.
It was
that
windy.
day.
Yep.
Mhm.
It was super windy, and we couldn't get the bird to come in. He was hung up, and I remember you actually went back and called. So my dad went back, a little bit farther away to sound like that hen was going away from the tom to kind of draw him a little closer. And I remember, you could tell he was coming closer and closer. And sure enough, Dad walked back down, and we were sitting there, and he came in, and he's strutting. And I remember having the gun up, and I had it up on my knee, and I'm ready, and I'm probably just shaking like crazy, And he gets within range, and I'm not shooting. and Dad's like, shoot him, shoot him, shoot him. And that's not the first time. There's another story too later where it's just shoot him. And I remember pulling the trigger, and I think, all these podcasts that we've done, we've talked about how important hunting is to our family, and it's this bond. And I just remember I can still feel the hug that I got and the excitement from my dad, knowing that, he just started a lifelong hobby with his son, and just dropping that bird and watching it flop, and then being able to go up and take pictures. It just, those are the pictures that you just close your eyes and you remember every detail about those hunts.
I think the one of the things I like most about turkey hunting is I don't have to watch my scent. I don't have to watch where I put my clothes. I can wear my clothes when I'm making my cup of coffee in the morning. I mean, that's what I like about turkey hunting. I can relax in the morning and just kind of do my thing and move at my own pace, where deer hunting is like you have to watch every step when, scent control, what you're doing before you get dressed, your deodorant, showers, clothes, all that stuff. You're just trying to watch every single step to kind of put the odds in your favor. Turkey hunting, you can just relax and kind of move at your own pace. The season's long enough where you can kind of pick and choose when you want to go. If the weather isn't great, you can kind of do those things. But tell me about your guys's your hunting shack. Tell me a little bit about that, and maybe some of the times you guys have had there, some of the best memories you've had at your hunting shack when it comes to turkey hunting, I guess.
I'll leave that up to you. I guess I just put the turkey mounts up. And
Yeah, right.
Which turkey shack are we going to be talking about? Are we talking about the old ski?
Oh, you got a
ski
couple of
lodge,
them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which
Well,
no,
that's not really much anymore. It's
not much
probably
anymore.
all knocked over by now. But no, so when we bought when mom and dad bought one of the pieces of property that we have, we put up a pole shed, and the quarter of it is livable space, and it's not roughing it, Joe. It's not roughing
Sure,
it.
sure.
We got a big screen TV out there.
Was it
We
at one point though when you guys first
Not at
started,
the-
or did you
not
kind of
at
get it
not
going
this
right away?
one. Not this one.
The other
yeah.
one
The
was.
other one
The other
Okay,
one was
okay.
the other one. If you woke up in the middle of the night and didn't see a mouse running across the sleeping bag, that was the thing. I didn't even, to be honest, I didn't even stay out there very
Sure.
often until I got a little older. I don't know. I just
Sure,
didn't
sure.
seem very safe to sleep out there.
So you paid your dues, Brian.
yeah.
You paid your dues. Yep.
But no, it's super nice. We got it. Obviously, when you walk in, you would know that we're diehard turkey hunters.
Mm.
There's a lot of deer in there too, but there's full body mounts all over, and as you can see in the basement here as well, we got a couple around here. But many fun times that we've spent out there. Go out there for the weekend, and just hang out. And the cool thing is while you're out there, you're just talking about all those stories while you're out there, all those different hunts that you had. It's nice also because you literally can get up in the morning, and that's a good piece of property for turkeys, and you can just walk out and get to your spot. I mean, you don't have to drive anywhere if you're hunting that property, and so you wake up in the morning, make coffee, and watch TV for a little while, and out the door you go, and you can hear them gobbling already as soon as you step out the door, and so that's pretty neat feature of the staying out there. And
So how many people are in your camp roughly? Is it just you two, or who's all there?
Well, at one point we'd probably have the two Shocker boys, Justin, I, and you, and I don't know if Aaron stayed out there or not.
I don't know if he has or not, but
I don't think he has, but roughly
5-6 of us.
6 of us,
Yeah.
5,
Okay.
6.
Yep.
That's cool. Yeah, and you can make it more about other people and get more people involved. Obviously, it's a lot more enjoyable than sitting out there by yourself.
Right.
It makes it all worth it. But dang, just going back to it. Actually, I made one of my turkey videos I made. I start off the video with me making coffee, and there's just something about that morning coffee before turkey hunt. I just love it. It's the best coffee around. So tell me about maybe, do you have one thing that you have to do, one ritual or one OCD thing that you have when it comes to turkey hunting? Like, I need to do this every single time.
That's actually so I'll go to a couple of them. There's a couple of them. So, we've, the eastern birds here in Minnesota, we've, shot our fair share of those, but then we also traveled out and shot some other birds in different states. And I just remember a South Dakota ritual. There was a song that we always listened to, right? Actually, there's a couple of them. Pictures was one by Kid Rock and Sheryl Crow, and we would just belt that out as loud as we could, on the way out there every time it came on. But the other one was Mark Anthony's "You Sang to Me." So if you ever look that up, it's kind of a slow one, but it's a good one. And
Gets you in the mood.
That was the one that always I remember. It was just like we had to play that song on the way out. The other thing that we do is we do a little fist bump and then a double boot tap.
I remember you telling me
the
about
fist
that.
bump and the double boot, and it's changed over time. Sometimes it's 3 boot taps, and maybe depends on if we don't see a bird that day, we might switch it up a little bit. But no, and that's become something. So Sarah, my wife, hunts. She's done some turkey hunting. She's got a Jake so far, and we're gonna get her a Tom this year. And now Juliana, our oldest, has gone out a couple times, and so it's cool because when we go out now, Juliana's doing the little fist bump and the double boot tap, and so it's just that family bond, right? And it's those are the kind of things that just makes it fun to be together and out there hunting.
Well, Brian, you got anything that you do over and over again?
Pretty much the same as what Mike was saying. I don't know. I a lot of praying before I go out.
Mhm.
The Lord is somebody you really need to talk to, because He's basically the one providing you these
No
birds
doubt.
and stuff. So
No doubt.
I hold a lot of key to praying. Other than that, I got to make sure I have my mouth call.
Hmm.
I mean, I've gone out. This might be a different subject than what you're thinking that I should be saying, but if I don't have my mouth call, it's like, what's a good saying that would be if you don't have something you feel,
Naked.
yeah,
You
feel
feel
naked.
naked.
Well,
That's
no,
the
I've
one.
run
Yeah.
around a few
Right,
times
right.
naked in my life.
That's not that bad, actually.
No,
It's worse not having a mouth call.
but,
We're going streaking.
but no, that is one of my go-to calls is a mouth call. And if I walk out, I do feel naked without it. But you learn and adjust to. Not saying I can't use slate calls, I can't use box calls because I can use all of them. But my go-to would be my mouth call.
Yeah.
I probably changed a little the subject there a little bit
No,
from what
it's-
you were
Yeah,
asking,
no,
but
that's good.
otherwise, I would say family. Being with family is the most important thing
Mm.
in the world. And being next to your two boys, your daughter-in-law, your granddaughter,
Mhm.
and granddaughters to be growing up that's what life is all about.
You know, Mike, you mentioned you get a bunch of mounts at the shack.
Yeah.
I can't walk around this house without bumping into a turkey.
Yeah.
I got a full body mount right behind me. A guy almost has to wear a cup around here because we just about went beak to beak here a little while ago. You got to watch out when you're around here. You guys just finished this mount over here.
Yep.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
So that was actually the bird that I shot last year.
Last year.
That the last couple of years, I guess I'm just holding out till the very last day, and that's what's happened. So I actually got this on the very last day, out hunting, and we ended up this guy's rye field was probably 8 feet tall. I mean, it was ridiculous. Probably not 8 feet, but it was over my head. And we sat and we crawled up on this bird, and we decided he's not coming to us. Then we saw the hens. There were some hens with him, so he's kind of henned up, and so we made the decision to go through the rye field, and it was so cool because there was no way he was going to see us coming through there, and we ended up getting out to the end of the rye field, and it was a cornfield that had been chopped, and it was all, it was just dirt, and he was out there in the middle, and so what I ended up doing is sneaking around my brother and my dad. They were both with me that time, and I snuck out around him, and I pulled the trigger and shot it, and it's a good one. It's when I can finish that video and put it out there, it's pretty comical watching my dad and my brother run around trying to chase this thing as it's flopping around and trying to get it down, and so yeah, that was mine from last year, and it was a good bird. As you can see, it's got a good spurs on it and a nice fan on that. And
Where'd you get the idea on the mount?
Actually, through I believe it was Pinterest.
Okay.
I believe Aaron Beyer, one of my buddies, was looked it up online, and I think it was on Pinterest or
okay.
whatever that. But
Maybe explain to everyone what it kind of looks like.
it's got the wings on the side. It's got the fan above it. It's got the beard like in the center of it. And it also has the two legs with the spurs coming down off of the top part of the underneath the fan. We started doing them probably 3 years ago, and I'm looking more and more to doing most of them just like that.
So where'd the wood come from?
It's like an old barn wood is what it's used.
Did you buy that, or did you
Nope.
pull it off of something?
Pull it off of like old buildings
Okay.
and stuff that people were going to just trash anyways. So, and then actually we burn the wood.
Oh, okay.
So you put
With the torch.
With the
Yeah.
torch,
Yep.
you burn the wood and stuff to make it a little more authentic. But yeah, I've done maybe, I would say close to 100 of them. Not like this.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Just
not all with the
regular,
wood, yeah.
just regular
Mhm.
fan mounts. I
Yep.
would say I'm close to maybe 100 that I've done
I like the shotgun shell
for
there
friends. Yeah.
with the beard going into
Yep.
it, hanging off that. It's pretty sweet.
I forgot to even mention that
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
because that was, if you ask Michael whose gun that he used that day that he shot this one hill, he forgot his at home, so he asked if he could use mine, and I told him, this gun does not miss.
Yeah,
So
yep.
it's a lot of
That's
pressure
right.
on a guy,
So-
Joe.
That's
It's a
right.
lot of
Don't put any
pressure on a
misses
guy,
in.
you know, right?
So you got the fan on top, you got the
Yep.
wings on the side, you got the legs mounted basically underneath the fan, centered.
Yep.
And then you got hanging between the legs, you got a shotgun shell and a big long beard dangling
Hanging,
between
yep,
his legs. That's
yep.
pretty sweet. That is pretty
So-
sweet. Well, we've heard some good stories here. Let's hear your biggest mess ups. We'll start with Mike.
Ooh,
You already heard mine.
biggest mess
Oh.
up.
You've already heard mine.
One thing that I'm still challenging myself to do is, we have the option to shotgun hunt them or bow hunt them.
Mhm.
And I have shot my fair share of them with a shotgun. And so I've gone a couple times trying to get them with the bow. And I just remember I was with Joe. We were out hunting, and we called this bird in, and he came out on our right hand side, and couldn't come all the way to in front of us. Couldn't get a shot at him there, and all of a sudden he circled around the back of us, and he got out in the field, and he was kind of out in front of us, and kind of he wasn't running yet, but he was moving pretty quick across the field. I remember pulling back, and I shot and kind of rushed that shot, and Joe would tell me still that that's the biggest bird in the world, biggest bird he's ever seen.
By far.
That's
By
the
far.
one.
I've seen some big birds.
So I mean, technical error, that's me.
Big yellow ones.
I also think I've had my fair share of being impatient.
Sure.
Being impatient still to this day. Sometimes I rush and I overcall and I end up scaring a bird away. That's kind of the double-edged sword of turkey hunting is you want to hear them gobble, so you keep calling to them, and when they don't call, you're kind of like, where are they? Did they go away? And but I've had my fair share of incidents where I've had the birds. I've spooked them. I've got too
Yep.
close to them, and so I think those are some of my bigger mistakes that I've made turkey hunting.
Well, for that instance, you learn over the years of what you've done wrong.
Yeah.
And over as many years as I've hunted, I've done a lot of things wrong that the next year, okay, I know this isn't right. I'm not doing that again. Patience is a huge thing. Even when me and Michael have hunted together, it's like you get a little antsy because the bird does not call back, and you want to know where he is. But simply, that bird might take an hour, like I said before, hour and a half. Who knows? Eventually, he knows exactly where you are anyway, so he's going to come at some point. But other than that, I guess, I don't know.
No mistakes, this guy.
This guy,
Absolutely.
no, absolutely. I've made plenty of mistakes, and I've learned from them,
Mhm.
and I've tried to teach my boys the same thing. Okay, when they ask me, what do you think we should do, Dad? And I'll say, well, let's do it this way.
Yep.
If they want to do it that way, they can. If they don't, that's fine with me, but at least I told him or told them. The reason why I say him is because this guy right over here, he does not listen to me all the time. Justin, if I said one word, Justin is, yep, Dad. Okay, no,
No.
There's one in every crowd.
yeah, no, I'm just kidding. But one of the worst or the experiences I had is I was bow hunting just south of the Shedland, and I had a big tom come in, and it's probably around 6 yards or whatever that Joe was, and I and I filmed the whole thing, but I stuck him pretty good. The arrow stuck out of him, and I was all excited. And that's one thing you have to do is keep your eye on the bird at all times, because that bird will get up a lot of times, even with the shotgun.
Mm.
You shoot that bird, and he's going to just get knocked over. He's going to roll over. He's going to run away. So what I was getting at is my bird flips up in the air and lands on the ground, and I started to run after it. Well, it got up and took off running. And back in high school, I know I could have caught him. But I mean, this was like maybe 8 years ago, and I started running after this turkey, which there was no frickin' way I'm going to catch him
Yeah.
with a bow and arrow. And I tripped over a barbed wire fence and fell on my face and watched that bird run away. And I never did find him. But that just one of them things.
Biggest bird you've ever seen in your
That
life.
was the biggest bird ever.
They come and go.
Yeah.
So you what you were kind of referencing there with the being patient thing. So like when a bird is kind of hung up or it's not really closing that distance, like how long do you wait and be patient before you try to make a move, or what are some things you do to try to enhance him to come in your direction?
Well, one of the biggest things is to realize, or if you can figure out if he's got a hen with him
Mm.
or if he's by himself. Because a normal bird will hang up 75 to 100 yards away from you, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes they'll come running in. You know, other times they'll stand there because against nature, it's the actual hen that comes to the tom, not the tom coming to the hen.
Mm.
So patience that's a virtue.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like Michael said, when you talk about something like sitting there, the biggest thing is to have visual contact with the bird, where you can actually see what the bird's doing, and that's how you can use your calls to see how he reacts to your calls, basically. And back before this, Michael was talking about that when he shot his first bird, I got up and moved probably 50 70 yards behind him. Well, that tom thinks, oh boy, she's going away from me. So he turns and he comes that much closer and cuts the distance in half, while the shooter's already right there,
Mhm.
that halfway. But
Mhm.
Go ahead.
I think too, when you talked about like being able to visually see them, then you get to use your surroundings, right? So like if you see him go one way, a lot of times then you can actually use, because you're far enough away from him to where you can see him, like you can actually go cut him off, or you can, if you see those hens, you can cut them off. So I think, yeah, another piece of that visual contact and being able to see them is being able to move on them if you need to, right?
Right.
Rather than sit still.
And you
and
can always see how they're reacting to your call.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, when you're calling, you could see, okay, they're gobbling or whatever, and then they double gobble, triple gobble. If they double, triple in a row like that, that means they're hot. They're ready. They probably don't have a hen there, but absolutely right what
Mhm.
you're saying. I mean it.
What do you think of Tom is doing? Because I've watched him before, where they're out 200 yards, and they're cutting across the field, and you're calling to them, and they immediately call back, but they just keep on their way. Do they know for sure they're going to find hens? Or are they going to a spot that usually has hens? What's your thoughts on that? Because it's like, what are you doing? Like, I'm telling you, I'm over here, but they just keep going on their path.
They have their own strutting area.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times they fly out of the roost in the morning, they hit the spot, you see them, they know where they strut, where all the
They're gonna
hens
go to
come
that
to them.
spot.
They
Sure.
go
Yeah.
right to that spot. He's just calling you to let you know, hey, I'm going over to my strutting spot.
Come with me
You
type of
come
thing.
in.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I'm guessing.
Sure.
I mean, I've seen it
Yeah,
before.
yeah, for sure.
Because to me, like, being young in this sport, it's like, well, they're calling back. Like, they're interested to a certain degree. But at the same time, like you said, Mother Nature is, the hen goes to the tom.
Yep.
Tom doesn't go to the hen. And from my understanding, it's when the toms are desperate, then they'll come to that calling. Or, getting to my next point here, your decoy setup. depending on the time of year, if it's early season or late season, if there's hardly any hens available, maybe Tom's been in a bunch of fights. Maybe it has a different personality. What does your decoy setup look like from early season, like the opener, to like that last season of the year?
Well,
Does it stay consistent or does it switch?
Decoys can make you or break you. I'll tell you that. But early in the season, you usually want a Jake with a couple hens, like a half strut and Jake out, or we've used full body toms.
Yeah.
And they're still doing somewhat of their pecking order, I believe. I mean, it should be done by that time when it starts, but the pecking order probably is still going on. So they come up and they want to check out who this new guy is in town.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or if it's a Jake, they tend
They
to
yeah.
they tend to want to come in and fight that Jake off.
Yep.
And then it's sometimes you watch 4 or 5 Jakes come in and bully that Tom and run him off. And I think that plays a huge role in it too. I think, not even from the beginning to the end of the season, but like I'm just thinking like, what is that turkey experienced already? So has he experienced a bunch of Jakes running him off? He might be different about then seeing a Jake and being like, I ain't gonna go over there. It's not worth my time. Or do you know? I don't know. I think it changed. I think in the beginning I tend to use probably a half starting Jake too, and I like to use a laydown hen because the laydown hen, is kind of showing that a hen's ready to maybe get bred, or if they see a laydown hen and they got a Jake or something behind it, then they're like, whoa, is that Jake there to, and then you might draw them in a little bit. I don't know. I'm going to be honest, Joe. I think Minnesota birds are getting smart with decoys.
Oh, yeah.
I think lately, the last couple seasons,
Mm-hmm.
I might not even bring a decoy out, or I might just bring a fan. Like that's the big thing now is we've actually had a really, actually, to be honest, the bird that we were talking about before that's on the wall over here, we just held a fan in front of us, and it mimics that Tom strutting and coming through, and sometimes that's even better than throwing out decoys.
I
Even if
believe
you're
that
sitting,
point.
like, and you just have that fan go back and forth,
Bring
like
it up,
just
bring it
to
down.
kind of
Sure.
gives them that visual. But yeah, decoys have been tough the last couple of years.
But to your point, Joe, beginning of the season, use your Jakes, your Jakes and your Toms. End of the season, if you're going to use any decoys, use just hens.
Hens.
As far as a bow hunter that you are, it's always better to have a decoy of some sort,
Sure.
regardless, because it's different than shotgun.
Sure.
Bring them in close enough, but excuse me.
Let's get into this here as we're all kind of in this group conversation. Why don't you guys explain the picture that's behind us here, the old Grand Slam that you guys were able to accomplish? Was that 2 years ago now?
It's 2021.
Yeah, so it was
Oh,
like
geez.
4 years ago
March,
already.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it just popped up on my
Yeah.
on the feed.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, why don't you tell me how that all come about?
So, just to kind of talk about the Grand Slam. So, in the United States, and there's 4 main subspecies of turkeys. There's the Easterns, there's the Merriams, there's the Rio Grandes, and then there's the Osceolas. It's kind of like a competition once you start going, and we talked about it for years on trying to complete our Grand Slam, and so the bird that was running into Joe behind me here, that was my Eastern that I shot, and shot that here in Minnesota, and then we were fortunate enough to find Dad went out and found some really good land out in South Dakota, and we were able to get a Merriam out there, a couple of them, over the years, and then we were fortunate enough also to get hooked up with an outfitter down in Kansas, where I was able to harvest a Rio Grande, and then there was always this mystery one, right? It was this Florida bird. Like I think to anyone that's chasing the Grand Slam, it's probably the last bird that most people go get, right? Because it just I don't know. It's the other locations might, if you live in the Midwest, it's a little bit easier to get to those other locations and hunt. so I'm thankful that Dad lined this all up for us, and we went down with how many guys do we have? What do we have?
6.
6 of us down there, and so we went down to Florida on a guided hunt, but it was kind of almost semi-guided at the point because we the first night they had 2 guides, and there was more than we weren't going to sit 3 and 3, and so we ended up splitting up and sat just out in the swamp area out in this pasture and didn't really know what the birds were going to do, and so that was our first night. And then the one night we're sitting around at the little shack cabin things that we stay at the house, and we just said, the guide said, well, who wants to sit with who tomorrow? And I just remember Dad saying, well, everyone's kind of throwing in their pieces of where they want to sit and where they want to go, where they've seen birds. And I just remember Dad saying, well, it'd be kind of cool if I could sit with my boys tomorrow. And I remember we're like, yeah, let's do that, right? And so we
What day of this was the hunt?
This was day
3?
3 out of 5? Or
No, 4.
4.
And you
Yeah,
guys
day
didn't
3
you
out of
guys
4,
didn't
yeah.
sit together prior to this on this hunt.
Me and him
we did the first night.
Not all
day.
together.
Yeah,
No.
but
Not all
not all together. So I remember we woke up that morning and it was raining, and they're just like, my wife, she's sitting over here in the back of this room here, smiling at me because she cracked the code. That's another misconception that turkeys are gonna hang out in the woods or hang out, not come out. That's complete opposite. I think turkeys move more during the rain than anything because the bugs are coming out and the worms and everything for them to eat. And so I just remember we went out and we were hunting a blueberry farm. It was a blueberry farm, kind of unique, and we all sat together. And I had my GoPro and I had my phone. We had our phone just in case something came in, and I don't know. When we were calling for a while, we didn't hear them right away. Right, it was pretty.
There was a couple behind us on our right hand side that I can remember, but they sounded like they were fairly close. But Justin, I can remember Justin saying something about, hey, there's 3 of them way down on the left side of us, and I put my binocs on it and I went, shit, Justin. I said, oh. Sorry.
Don't worry, it's going to get worse.
Okay. Anyways, I looked at him through the binocs, and of course my eyes must not have been working very well, but I thought there were 3 hens coming, and they got a little bit closer and a little closer, and I'm looking at it through the binocs, and I'm going like, yeah, there's 3 toms coming in. So you can continue your story.
Yeah, and Dad being the competitive guy he is, one of them was strutting, right? And he's like, I'm going to take the strutter. And we're like, yeah, you can have them. And
Mike's in the background. Bang! He fires.
Shoot him first. And I just remember they worked, and the guide, he was just little calls, like little very soft calls, just kind of getting them that last little way. And I'll be honest, like they got pretty close to us, and he was still calling, and I personally, myself, I probably would have been done calling.
Would have quit.
Because I knew that they were there. They were coming in. And, he's done it a million times and has a pretty good track record down there. And so we ended up, waiting, and we said, well, we're going to shoot on the count of 3. And I remember Dad still, I want the one that's strutting. No, he said it again, I think, pretty sure. But anyways, it's so cool. It actually lined up where that strutting bird. Where the strutting bird actually came to his side. My dad, it was me on the left, and then it was Justin, and then it was my dad sitting in this blind and we're talking like a little pop-up blind. We had 4 guys sitting in this little pop-up blind, and the guides behind us, we gave them one of our phones, and we all said, we got great video of this, and we said 1, 2, 3, and we all shot, and we dropped our grand slam together as a trio, and that's That's probably a story that there might be 1 or 2 more like that somewhere in the world of people going out, but that's a pretty incredible story to be able to count
complete
to 3
the Grand Slam.
Complete the Grand
Father,
Slam together.
2 sons, all at the same time, same blind, on the count of 3. What does that mean to you, Brian?
Oh my God! If you would have seen me that day, my tears were just rolling. I mean, it meant so much to me to be there with my 2 sons and to be able to finish such a great achievement together. Granted, it took me, 30, 40 or 36 years or whatever,
Right.
whatever it was at that time to finish mine. And these guys finished it much earlier, which doesn't make any difference. But yeah, I just thank Jesus for what he did, and to let it happen the way it did was just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and the guide too. He filmed the whole thing.
Yeah.
Got everything, and he says usually the first instinct is when they shoot, he throws the person's phone to the ground because he said, "I need to make sure they stay on the birds because if you hit one and it goes away and you can't find it, it counts as your bird."
Right.
And so he just wants to make sure that we're successful, and so everything just lined up. It was just like, obviously, like Dad said, God had a plan for us to
No
finish
doubt.
our Grand Slam, and that's what we did. And now it's
If you can remember the video, you're talking about the strutting one. Well, I should have been able to get. I mean, I planned the trip.
oh
The
yeah.
strutter
No,
should have
I'm
been
not
mine.
worried about that. My bird was actually bigger. But
It
that's fine.
but just to be able to see at that last moment, closing
that's
in
cool.
at
That's
20
cool.
yards,
Yeah.
it was. I tell you, like three seconds maybe. The strutter was where Michael was going to be able to shoot him, and at that last 3 seconds, the strutter went around him and come on my side.
It was
That-
perfect.
that's
It was just-
crazy.
So I
it's
mean,
pretty incredible.
I would have been happy without shooting the strutter. I was just
Right.
And we ended up. Did we? Did
we
anyone
filled
not-
out.
We filled out, right? Yeah, because all six of us
Yep,
filled out.
ended
down
up
there,
getting
so.
ours.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to ask one last thing here. Just give one tip for people out there for this year, or anything you want people to take from, whether it's a strategy, a tip, or just things they should keep in mind when it comes to turkey hunting.
I have a few of them, but one of the biggest things is your scouting. Get out there and scout the area that you're hunting. Figure out a turkey's pattern, because a turkey will stick to that pattern till he's broke out of it. And as far as I've been fortunate enough to have good friends at land that I hunt on and stuff, and private land's still just as good. I've shot a lot of birds on a private land. I mean, sorry about that. I mean public land.
Yeah. Yep.
But to gain permission on people's property is huge. But one of the things, I mean, is scouting. I scout quite a bit. I mean, I haven't over the past few years, because I know the birds are there every year. But for anybody else, get out there, scout. If you see turkeys on somebody's property, feel free to go up there and ask. The only thing they can tell you is no.
Yeah.
I mean, most people don't turkey hunt.
Yeah, for
There
sure.
are a lot of owners.
Yeah.
Um,
I think too, when you say scouting, just to even throw a strategy on top of that, is when you know some birds are on that property, go out there right at dusk when they're going up into the roost and they're flying up into the trees. You can give a little. They make owl calls. You give a little owl hoot, and just listen. Just sit out there in the silence and just listen, because that could make or break your morning hunt, right? Because if you can pinpoint where they went to sleep, where they're in the roost, and not walk that way in the morning, you want to make sure that you're not gonna spook them in the morning, and it just helps you kind of know where they are, especially if you already know their pattern on where they're gonna go after they fly out of the roost. I think other strategies. I think like you talked about before, your first hunt. You sat there for 5.5 hours and didn't hear a single bird. I think it's okay to move, but I think it's also okay to be patient and wait it out for a little while. I'll be honest, some birds are silent. Some birds never, ever gobble at all, and they come in silent. Perfect example of that, the jimmies too. My gun's laying on the ground, bird comes in silent, we hear the wings coming across the ground, and Dad tells me to shoot, and I don't have my gun, and finally I pick it up and shoot it. But yeah, so being patient, and then not overcalling. I think that's huge.
What
to
what
do.
Michael just said right there is probably one of the biggest things. Do not overcall. Um, excuse me, but yeah, I don't know. I think he said it pretty well there.
And I think if you get an opportunity to, another thing, if you get an opportunity to be around hens, just listen. Listen to their calls, listen to what they're doing, and then mimic them. Especially
Yep.
if you can get good with a mouth call, which are pretty challenging. It takes a while, but yeah, just being able to listen to the hens and figure out what they're doing and mimic that. That's one thing that my dad's taught me is, and that's probably why he doesn't leave home without his mouth call because he's gotten so dang good at it.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
and so, but that's because he's heard so many birds do things and you just mimic it, right? And it just helps you. I don't know. Helps you be more successful for sure.
Everything you said on that last thing is when you're listening to the bird, the hen, and I say you mimic every word and she'll come back at you, and then you do the same thing what she just did back to her, and what happens is that bird does get pissed off, and that hen will, even if a tom's behind her, that hen will bring the tom in because she's going to come and figure out who this other hen is that's doing all this calling, because I don't know, she's probably one of the dominant hens.
For sure.
So
Speaking of the hen,
Welcome,
Mother hen.
Mother hen.
brought my sister Sarah in here. Sarah, so obviously on the topic of turkey hunting, you've killed one turkey. Oops, hold up here. I gotta turn this guy up here. I don't know why we don't have. Oh, there we go. How about now? Are you on now? There we
Now
go.
can
There
hear
we
you.
go.
Yeah, you're
Perfect.
good.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. So you worked hard for this turkey.
I worked really hard for that turkey.
We're not talking about the turkey next to you. That one came easy.
Just let out one gobble and here I come.
Let's hear the story on yours.
Oh, well, so from what you have said and everything, we were not a turkey hunting family. And so,
Tell them why we weren't a turkey hunting family. Do you remember why?
our family just not like. Oh, because Grandma and Grandpa's.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Grandma and Grandpa they had wild turkeys in their yard that migrated from a farm next to us, and
They were essentially tamed to a certain degree.
and there was a lot of them.
Hmm.
And sometimes they weren't the nicest to the little cousins, and they'd go running at them. But
They would take them out.
yeah,
I don't remember which cousin it was, but the Toms
I think it was Ben.
attacked the 3-year-old kids. They'd come right at them and take them right out.
I think
They got a couple boots after that.
I think the best video is of Grandpa in
Easter time.
Yep, and he's out he's like strutting, and he's making a sound. They're calling back to him, and
Yep.
it's the best.
That would have been in what, 1980 or maybe like 90, 91 maybe.
Yeah.
Probably 91-ish. 90.
Yeah.
Home video VHS.
The VHS.
Best.
So yeah, I don't know, and I guess I never really thought of turkeys being out where we hunted.
Yeah, it was more like we viewed turkeys as like cattle.
For
Right.
sure.
It was just like they were on the farm all the time. So we were just like, whatever, turkeys. That was, we were big into deer hunting, but it wasn't ever turkeys. It was just a stupid turkey to us.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean?
Well,
To a certain degree.
I remember too, like when I did meet Mike and you guys were talking about turkey hunting, I was like, where are you even gonna go? I haven't seen
Right.
any turkeys. And then when you said, I'm like, really? And then our uncle's like, there's tons of them out there. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
all right. But no, the very first time that I went turkey hunting with Mike, it was out by like the car graveyard, whatever property
yeah.
that is.
Dang.
But we were sitting out there, and I brought my iPad, and I started filming. And he looks at me, and he's like, "What are you doing?" Like, I'm filming our hunt. And so I explained, like, growing up, it was either hunting or sports that was on our TV. So,
Yep.
but anyways, I hadn't hunt turkeys until I was pregnant with Evelyn. Right? I don't think I went before that.
Yeah.
Anyways, the year before I got my turkey, I was extremely pregnant with Evelyn, like a month before having her, and we went out to a couple different places, and one of them, what did we walk 2 miles?
Oh, that was a long ways. It was a long walk.
I don't
for
recommend taking
Yeah.
somebody who's almost 9 months pregnant
Yeah.
in a 2-mile hike through up and down and warm weather, but going with like the calling and stuff like that. Mike called this bird in. What?
It was
Three?
it was a long ways. It actually there's a from where we thought the bird started. I called him all the way around the slough to the other side. I mean, it's not a short distance at all.
And you could hear him.
Yep.
Well, we actually thought that he was turning back around and going the other way because we're like, oh, it's sounding distant again. But then all of a sudden, it was sounding close, and so I first was up against a tree, and then I went over to the other side, and there was this trail that was coming right towards us, and we were kind of on a ridge in the woods, and I had never experienced drumming.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Like when I could actually hear and feel that drumming, I'm like, he's close,
Mm-hmm.
like super close. And so Mike was behind me, filming and calling, and he was saying, shoot. Well, I couldn't see the bird yet.
Sound familiar? Shoot.
Right,
Shoot,
right,
yeah.
right. I could see that bird plain as day. I was just
And-
shaking too much.
And I seriously couldn't
Yeah.
see him. Like there was a tree, and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
I saw him, and I don't know if I wait a little bit, but I did not take a deep breath in. I did not make sure I was steady.
Mm.
I was just like so, like, it's like deer hunting when, that big one comes in or anything comes in, your heart just starts pounding. And it was my first bird that I ever had
Yep.
come
I
near
don't.
me.
Yeah,
And
I don't. That one, I don't think you even took
Oh,
a
I
shot.
I shot
not
at it.
Not at that one.
I'm
No, you're talking about the one that was out by out on
Pig.
where were we out?
was that
out by
the
Buckman.
yeah
That one came right in too. That was like from here to the computer away.
yeah
in
that
front
one
of you.
that one I was a little excited. I
You
didn't
did
breathe.
shoot like 6 times on that one.
Sorry,
You
Uncle
only
Dale,
get
if there's some BB holes in your deer stand. Hey, I did get blood though when we were trying to see if I
heard
hit
it hit. I heard it hit.
I did get. Well,
That was the window shattering. That was the window shattering.
well, and Mike's like, well, maybe your gun isn't on. So we found a. Did we see like a little target out there? We put it somewhere, and I
Somewhere,
shot,
yeah.
and I was
Blew it up.
dead on.
It was
But
spot on. Yeah, I mean, every BB hit that target.
Not a one miss.
so I was kind of down in the dumps because I think we even went to another place before that, and then we decided to go out to Belgrade area, and no, that was the year that I actually shot the bird.
Yeah.
But this one, I wasn't pregnant with that one.
Yeah.
So like the one, but anyways, the year before I actually shot my bird, like we went to a couple places, no luck, and then had baby, and then that was kind of it for that year. But no, the year then that I got this bird, no luck around here or around our hometown area, and so we decided to go back to Mike's area, and we whatever this property that we went out to, I feel like there's always birds everywhere.
Oh, it's a honey
yeah.
hole.
It's
Yeah.
But anyways, we drive out there, we don't see anything right away, and we're getting unloaded and getting everything ready, and then we saw something in the corner, and so it was a quite a ways. We were in this direction, and then we cut over this way, and then we finally got to where we want to sit, and I just remember Mike was calling, and I could see the bird running at us. And I'm like, okay, there's a hill in front of me. When he comes over that hill, like, I have to be ready to shoot. Like, when
did.
he's...
Mhm.
And so came over the hill and saw him and shot and dropped him. And I jumped up and screamed some words.
Some explicitives.
And yeah, it was like the adrenaline. I've never shot a bird before, and so it was just a different experience than the deer hunting. And then when I got up to it and fanned him out, Mike was like, "Oh, it's a," or no, I was like, "Oh, it's a Jake." He goes, "Yeah, I knew it was a Jake already, but I didn't notice that it was a Jake." And so I was like, "Oh man," he's like, "No, it's fine. It's your first bird, and
Heck yeah.
it was a good
bird.
size."
It's not like, I mean, it's the, like you said, it's the experience, the adrenaline. Like, it didn't matter what bird that was. Like, we worked hard to get that. I remember we tucked ourselves into some pretty thick like
Thistle-y stuff.
Yeah,
and
it was and we snuck in there, and no, that was pretty awesome.
And the first person I called was Brian.
Yes.
And I said, Did I kind of go like, I'm done with this? Like
Oh, you played it
you
off.
I
played
went-
you
I
played
went
off another
somewhere.
miss.
Oh.
right.
Yep,
And Brian's like, "Are you serious? You missed another one." And I was FaceTiming him, and then I showed
The bird.
the bird,
Sweet,
and
sweet.
um,
Yeah, you
I
get
was
to-
nice about it.
Of course you were.
you're like,
yeah.
"Are you serious?"
Yeah. If you hang around us long enough, you'll know that you're not going to get the truth right away when it happens. You're going to get a run around and a whole story left and right before you actually hear the final verdict. But, yeah, I mean, I think the whole point of this podcast is not only to inform everyone about the tips and tricks and all the things that we've learned throughout the years as far as strategy goes. I think the biggest thing is all of us sitting here right now, and it started back in 1984.
Yeah.
And it trickled right down the line here. And that's something that you can definitely hang your hat on, Brian, that you going out there as a young lad and taking a chance on doing some turkey hunting and staying out till 11:30, because who knows, maybe you didn't hear that gobble at 11:30 or whatever it was. Maybe you would have hung it up, but you heard that, and that got you hooked. And the other thing on top of that, kind of like what you're talking about before and referencing, the creation that we have here to be able to go out and hunt these birds, and how majestic and appreciative we are for these animals that we've been given to chase. And the opportunity to be here on this earth is absolutely amazing. Just to share these experiences, and it's no different whether it's turkey, deer, elk, you name it.
Yep.
They're absolutely amazing creations, amazing animals, and I think that's the one thing these haters out there don't understand. Majority of us hunters, we appreciate these animals. We appreciate the land. We're conservationists. Look what we were talking about today. You're enhancing the habitat for the animals on your property.
Yep.
It's not we're going out here just to kill these animals. We're creating great habitat for these animals to succeed out there, and to share moments with families and pass that on down the generation to generation is our goal. I mean, when you get out there in the heat of the moment, it's fun harvesting them or whatever, but then the page turns, and it's how can I get my son or daughter-in-law or granddaughter a bird, or what can I do to enhance the opportunity for more birds to be here next year, so not only myself but my family members and friends can come out here and enjoy this creation that God has given us. I think that's the whole point of this podcast, and hunting in general, I think.
Absolutely.
But
Well said.
Well, and they're preventing those animals from not being around. They're making sure that, like you said, their habitat. So it's not like we're, with hunting, harvesting, like, oh, we're not going to have those animals. Like, no, what they're doing is they're keeping those animals around.
Mhm.
They're allowing those animals to thrive.
You got to keep the number in check, and
Mhm.
also give them a good habitat where they can succeed and become good, healthy, nutritious animals for
Yep.
us to harvest and,
Yep.
and consume. So, last question here. What do you do with your turkeys when you end up harvesting them? I mean, you jerky. I mean, what are we doing with them?
I've done jerky with them before. I've actually marinated them. I usually only take the breasts out.
Yep.
Marinate them for 2-3 days in a marination sauce. put them in the fridge or whatever, and then I've actually grilled them. But one of the favorite things I like to do is make a cheesy turkey sandwich.
Yeah, like
Oh, yeah.
pull it apart.
So
and
yeah,
put it in
you
a crock
put it
pot.
in a
Mhm.
crock pot, slow cooker all day long. You add Velveeta cheese to it, and then you add like cream of mushroom or cream of chicken soup to it, and that will be probably the best turkey that you've ever tasted.
That sounds good. Mike, what do you like?
Well, that's what I've grown up on.
Yep.
I mean, that's been kind of our go-to for that. But I've also chunked it out and wrapped it in bacon because anything in bacon is good. You know how that goes.
Oh,
Dad knows that. He's the bacon master
Bacon
over here. But
sandwich.
no, just I've smoked it before too. My brother actually has done some of the jerky, and that's turned out pretty good before. But yeah, that's kind of what we do with it.
I probably would have tried smoking, but I didn't have a smoker of any
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
when I
yeah.
was. But both of my boys do, and I've had some of the smoked turkey, and it, to me, if it's done right and seasoned properly, it's very good.
I've only had it 2 different ways, and one was my way, which was I just did a turkey tater tot hot dish.
Oh,
Nice.
I just cubed it up, fried it, and then threw it in the oven. Just like a normal tater tot hamburger hot dish or whatever. So I just fried it, threw it in there with the vegetables, cream mushroom, tater tots, cheese. Phenomenal. And then one day when I was talking about living with my in-laws, my mother-in-law, I don't know if she thought it was a pheasant breast or something like that. She's like, that was a big pheasant, But she put it in a slow cooker and made turkey pot pie with it.
oh, that
And
sounds
that was phenomenal. But yeah, putting it in a slow cooker
Yep.
and getting it to get nice and soft and moist, that's phenomenal. But yeah. Are you guys cool with everything? I mean,
Yeah.
we want to shut her down, or I think we're over an hour now, but we got the kids coming downstairs, so this might be perfect time to shut it down. But all right, well, thanks for listening, you guys. Appreciate it. Till next time, it's almost turkey season. We're getting excited.
Right around the corner.
Good luck to you guys out there. Be safe, and we'll catch you later. And there you guys have it. Thanks for tuning in this week, you guys. We truly do appreciate it. Turkey hunting is right around the corner if it hasn't already started in your state. It's a fun time of year. I really, really love turkey hunting. I wish I would have started earlier. So for those of you who are out there that haven't turkey hunted yet, I highly encourage you to try it at least once. And like Brian was saying, you might get hooked and you might say, you know what, this isn't for me. But either way, at least you'll know, right? With that, like I said, thanks you guys for all the support that you guys give us, not only on our podcast, but also on all of our other social media platforms. Also, I want to give a shout out to all of our partners, Arctic Shield, Domain Outdoor, J&R Outdoors, Skullcraft, The Fish Guide, Tacticam, and also Fourth Arrow Cam Arms. Like I said, I appreciate you guys tuning in, listening. Take care, and until next time, we'll catch you later.